Welcome to 5 Minute Bible, your daily guide for your daily reading. Today's July the 18th, and we'll be looking at Isaiah 23 through 27. Now, yesterday, Isaiah exposed the false refuges of the nations and even Jerusalem's own temptation to trust the walls and weapons and strategy instead of the Lord. Well, today, Isaiah lifts our eyes even higher. In Isaiah 23 through 27, it begins with a judgment on Tyre, which was a wealthy merchant city. But then it expands into a vision of worldwide judgment and worldwide salvation. And this belongs here because Isaiah is showing Judah that the Assyrian crisis is part of something much grander and much larger. God is not merely managing one political emergency, but he's judging the proud world. He's preserving his people and preparing salvation for all people. And in that way, Isaiah 23 announces judgment on Tyre. Tyre was famous for trade, wealth, ships, merchants, and international influence. But even this wealthy city will be humbled. Its glory will collapse because the Lord has purposed to defile the pride of all beauty and bring the honored of the earth into contempt. Then Isaiah 24 widens the lens from one city to the entire earth. The earth is polluted by its inhabitants because they have transgressed his laws, violated his statutes, and broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore, joy fades, cities fall, and the proud are brought low. The city of chaos is broken down, but the Lord still receives praise from the ends of the earth. After this, Isaiah 25 gives a glorious turn. The Lord prepares a lavish feast for all the peoples on his mountain. Even more, he will swallow up death for all time and wipe tears away from all faces. Then Isaiah 26 responds with a song of trust. The righteous nation enters through the open gates. God keeps his perfect peace in the one whose mind is stayed on him. And then comes resurrection hope. Your dead will live, their corpses will rise. And then finally, in Isaiah 27, you see a picture of the Lord defeating Leviathan, guarding his vineyard, removing guilt, and gathering his people one by one. The failed vineyard of Isaiah 5 will not be the final word. God himself will keep his vineyard. And that way, as you read today, I want you to ask the following question. What is God doing beyond the immediate crises of his people? Well, Isaiah 23 through 27 shows that God is judging the proud world, but he's preserving his people, and he's preparing a resurrection feast where death itself will be swallowed forever. And in that way, the central tension in these passages is between collapsing earthly glory and everlasting salvation. On the one hand, Tyre represents everything that the world admires: wealth and trade and beauty, influence and international power. But Isaiah says that that kind of glory can fail when the Lord speaks. Then, in the same way, Isaiah 24 shows that the problem is not limited to Tyre. The whole earth is polluted by sin. The crisis is not merely political, it's covenantal. Humanity has broken God's order, and creation itself is groaning under the judgment. And that gives these chapters some sharp personal application for us as well, because we're often tempted to measure security by what looks successful now. Wealth feels solid, influence feels safe, beauty feels lasting, strong cities often feel permanent. But Isaiah tells us that every earthly glory that is detached from God is fragile. At the same time, Isaiah doesn't leave us staring at the ruins. He contrasts the proud city with the Lord's mountain. The city of man collapses under judgment, but the mountain of the Lord becomes the place of feasting and peace and resurrection and salvation forever. So the question is simple. Are you building your hope on the city of man or on the salvation of God? One collapses, the other ends with death being swallowed, tears being wiped away, and the people of God gathered home. And finally, Isaiah 27 brings the vineyard theme to full circle. In Isaiah 5, Israel was a failed vineyard producing rotten fruit. But here, the Lord himself keeps his vineyard. He waters it, guards it, removes its guilt, and gathers his people one by one. In that way, judgment is real, but judgment is not the end of the story for those whom the Lord gathers and keeps. And all of this culminates in the fact that Isaiah 23 through 27 points beautifully to Jesus Christ. The judgment on Tyre and the whole earth reminds us that Christ is not merely a local savior for the private religious needs of his people. He's the king over all the nations. He's the one who will rule with the iron rod. He's the judge of the proud world and the redeemer of creation itself. Isaiah 25 reaches its fulfillment in him because the Lord promises a feast for all peoples and the swallowing up of death forever. Well, at the cross, Christ enthrones death. In the resurrection, he breaks it. That is why Paul can quote Isaiah and say, "Death is swallowed up in victory." Well, in the same way, Isaiah's 27 resurrection